You think your bedroom is safe because the lights are off. But what if the darkness is watching you back? I walked out of the occult, and I know what feeds on your sight at night. Some objects don't just sit in your room, they drain your discernment. Why do you feel spiritually numb when you wake up? Tonight, what was hidden is being exposed. You were taught that a mirror is harmless, just glass, just reflection. But I'm telling you what I learned on the other side. Mirrors were never neutral. In the occult, mirrors are not used to see yourself. They are used to open sight, not your sight, something else's. At night, your spirit is most vulnerable. Your conscious guard is down. Your soul is quiet. That is when access is attempted. A mirror positioned in your bedroom, especially facing your bed, is not decoration. It becomes a silent observer. And observation is the first step of access. You wake up tired even after sleeping 8 hours. Your dreams feel foggy or disturbing. You struggle to pray with clarity in the morning. That is not coincidence. That is drained discernment. In occult practice, mirrors are called return gates. They don't summon loudly, they siphon slowly. I participated in rituals where mirrors were placed intentionally near sleeping targets, not to possess them, but to blur spiritual vision. Because a believer who cannot see clearly is easier to influence. You start doubting your instincts. You second-guess warnings from the Spirit. You feel disconnected during worship. You think something is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. Something is feeding. At night, spiritual sight operates through dreams, intuition, and inner witness. When a mirror faces your bed, it interrupts that flow. It reflects more than light. It reflects attention. And attention is power. This is why children often report seeing something in rooms with mirrors. Their spiritual perception is not yet numbed. They notice what adults were trained to ignore. You may say, I've had that mirror for years. Exactly. Slow drains are the most effective. The enemy doesn't rush what can be weakened gradually. In spiritual warfare, clarity is everything. When your sight is dimmed, your authority feels distant. You still believe, but without sharpness. You still pray, but without confidence. That is the goal. Mirrors also anchor past emotions, arguments, shame, old identities you thought you left behind. At night, those reflections replay internally, keeping your soul in cycles. This is why, after removing or covering a mirror, people report sudden peace. Not hype. Release. I'm not telling you to panic. I'm telling you to pay attention. Ask yourself tonight, what is facing me while I sleep? What has been silently watching me? Because anything that watches long enough eventually influences. This is not superstition. This is strategy. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. You think your phone is just a tool. But in the spirit realm, it is a portal of attention. I know this because we used it. In occult operations, attention is harvested. Not objects, not money. Attention. Whatever holds your attention before sleep shapes what accesses you during sleep. And the phone is the most efficient doorway ever created. You scroll until your eyes are heavy. Images, voices, emotions, fear, lust, comparison, anger, noise. Then you close your eyes. But your spirit does not shut down the way your body does. It carries the residue of what you consumed. When your phone rests next to your head at night, it continues working, not physically, spiritually. In the occult, we understood something most people were never taught. Objects saturated with emotional energy become anchors. Phones are saturated every day. Arguments you read, videos that stirred anxiety, messages that hurt you, news that filled you with dread, images that polluted your imagination. You didn't just view them, you absorbed them. At night, your spiritual defenses lower, your soul processes what your mind avoided. That is when the residue activates. You wake up restless. Your dreams feel chaotic. You feel mentally cluttered before the day even begins. You try to pray, but your thoughts scatter. You try to worship, but images interrupt. You feel spiritually distracted, not sinful, just unfocused. That is not random. That is sight interference. Spiritual sight requires stillness. The phone trains your spirit to stay noisy. In rituals, phones were never allowed near sleep spaces, not because of radiation, because of spiritual contamination. Anything that constantly demands your attention weakens your ability to discern. And discernment is vision. This is why the enemy does not need to attack you directly. He just needs to keep you stimulated. You check one last notification, then another, then silence. But the silence is fake. Your inner man is still scrolling. You may wonder why your intuition feels dull lately, why warnings come late, why you sense things after damage is done. Because spiritual sight is not lost in moments. It is stolen in habits. Keeping the phone beside your bed trains your spirit to wake up reaching outward instead of upward. The first thing you touch becomes the first voice you submit to. And submission always affects authority. I've seen believers who fasted, prayed, and worshipped yet stayed spiritually foggy. Not because they lacked faith, but because their sleep space was polluted. Night is not just rest. Night is reset. If the reset is interrupted, clarity suffers. This is why ancient spiritual disciplines guarded the night watch. What enters before sleep determines what speaks during sleep. Dreams are messages. But clutter distorts the signal. Your phone doesn't have to be evil to be dangerous. It only needs to be uncontrolled. If something can interrupt your rest, it can interrupt your sight. If something can dominate your attention, it can weaken your discernment. This is not about fear. This is about authority. You were designed to wake up clear, alert, spiritually sensitive. But clarity cannot survive constant stimulation. Ask yourself tonight, what is the last thing my spirit touches before sleep? Is it peace or noise? Because what sleeps beside you speaks into you. And once you see this, you cannot pretend it's harmless. You don't think twice about it. A chair, a pile of clothes, worn once, not dirty enough to wash, not clean enough to put away. But spiritually, those clothes are loaded. In the occult, fabric is never ignored. Cloth absorbs presence, emotion, atmosphere, spiritual residue. What you wear does not just cover your body, it accompanies your spirit through environments. Workplaces filled with stress, hospitals heavy with grief, public spaces charged with lust, anger, fear. Arguments you walked through, places you prayed, places you broke down. Your clothes absorb all of it. When those clothes are left uncovered in your bedroom, especially near your bed, they reintroduce what you thought you left behind. You lie down to rest, but your spirit senses familiar weight, unexplained heaviness, restlessness. You can't pinpoint why you feel off, but something feels crowded. That is residue re-entering your space. In occult practice, we never slept in rooms with spiritually active garments exposed. Clothing used in rituals was sealed or removed immediately. Why? Because fabric holds memory. This is why scripture speaks about garments being clean, not symbolically only, spiritually. Your bedroom is not just a resting place. It is a spiritual chamber. What remains visible remains influential. Those clothes on the chair remind your spirit of environments your body already left. Stress follows you into sleep. Anxiety replays. Old emotions resurface in dreams. You wake up feeling like you never truly rested. You may even notice this pattern. You pray before bed, yet feel unsettled. You worship, yet peace feels delayed. Because peace cannot fully settle where residue remains. This is not about obsession. This is about order. In spiritual warfare, order restores sight. Chaos clouds it. The enemy does not need to curse you. He only needs to reintroduce yesterday, that jacket you wore during conflict, those clothes worn during exhaustion, those garments soaked in worry. They speak quietly at night, not audibly, emotionally, spiritually. This is why some people feel immediate relief after clearing their bedroom, not because of minimalism, because of release. Your spirit responds to cleanliness faster than your mind understands it. A clear space invites clear sight. If you feel spiritually dull lately, ask yourself, what am I allowing to linger in my resting place? Night is meant to cleanse, but it cannot cleanse what you refuse to remove. This is not legalism. This is wisdom. You don't sleep with yesterday's burdens on your body. Why sleep with them in your room? Once you see this, you start protecting your space differently. You stop dragging yesterday into tomorrow. And your sight begins to sharpen again. You leave it on because it feels safer. A lamp, a hallway light, a soft glow in the corner. You tell yourself it's comfort. But in the spirit realm, it is conflict. Darkness is not evil. It is neutral. It is where rest was designed to happen. But fear distorts purpose. In occult knowledge, we understood this clearly. When light is introduced unnaturally during rest, the spirit never fully disengages from defense mode. Your body lies down, but your spirit stays alert. That constant low light tells your inner man, stay watchful. And when the spirit cannot rest, sight weakens. Spiritual vision requires surrender, not control, not vigilance, trust. When you sleep with artificial light, your soul never enters full peace. Dreams become shallow. Revelation becomes rare. You wake up feeling protected but not restored. That is a deception. I've watched believers pray powerfully yet struggle with clarity. They felt washed at night, uneasy in silence, uncomfortable in darkness. Not because darkness was attacking them, but because fear had trained them to resist rest. Fear always poses as protection. In the occult, dim light was used intentionally to keep people in limbo, not awake, not asleep. That in-between state is where confusion thrives. God speaks in rest. The enemy works in exhaustion. When you refuse darkness, you refuse trust. And when trust is missing, authority weakens. This is why Scripture says He gives His beloved sleep, not tension, not alertness, sleep. Your spirit was designed to shut down safely in God's presence, not monitor the room, not brace for attack. That night light may seem harmless, but it reinforces a message every night. You are not fully safe. And whatever trains, fear trains blindness. Spiritual sight sharpens in peace. It dims in anxiety. If you cannot rest in darkness, your spirit never practices confidence. And confidence is vision. Ask yourself honestly, why do I need the light on? Is it comfort or fear? Because fear always costs clarity. Turning off the light is not bravery. It is trust. And trust restores sight faster than effort ever could. You were never meant to sleep unaware. You were meant to rest in authority. What you remove tonight determines what you see tomorrow. Your sight is not broken, it has been crowded. Clear the space and clarity will return. Darkness does not rule you, truth does. Wake up sharp, fearless, and fully seeing.